Hey, love tubers. Hey, love tubers. Hey, 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 hey. It's your girl, Reverend Valerie Love here, divine midwife of soul destiny, Christian witch, and the author of 11 books on practical spirituality. How you loving? How you loving? Love tubers. How you loving? Love tubers. How you loving? I am in Washington, D.C. today. I'm going to put the sunshades on for a quick second. I am on the rooftop of my lovely office building. Tell me if this sound is good. Sound check, sound check, sound check. Let's give you an overview of Washington, D.C. on this beautiful, beautiful day. This beautiful day. Hello, Washington, D.C. Hello. So we've got a beautiful day in the nation's capital. If you live in if you live in the United States, if you do not live in the United States, no mind. It's not your capital. It's actually not my capital. The capital of my nation is in heaven. I am a minister of spiritual consciousness, and I'm so very grateful to be here with you. And this conversation is really a conversation that I wanted to have with deep integrity and love. This is a conversation that involves all women, that involves sacred sexuality and sex magic and the magic of Egypt and so much, so much, so much. And the Bible. It's all connected. It's all correlated. So smash that like button, baby. Smash that share button, baby. And let me know if the sound is good. And let me know if we're good. If sound is good and camera is good. And we'll proceed with this powerful conversation. Because Mary Magdalene has been on my mind for quite some time. And look at this beautiful reminder that we get. I'm going to flip us around for a second. You see that cross in the distance? Right on top of that building is a cross. I'm not sure if it's readily seen on here. At any rate, this conversation that we're going to have is about Mary Magdalene and the secret sex codes. We could call it the secret sex. We could call it the revelation of sacred sexuality. We could call it tantric practice from Mary Magdalene. So let's begin with this intention. My intention here is truth. I don't have an agenda. I don't have the desire for anybody to think anything. I have the desire here to share with you what's going on with me with regard to this. And if you find a resonance, or if you sense a resonance, then wonderful. If you do not sense a resonance, then share it. Share it with someone else, and perhaps they will have a resonance. But here is where it has hurt us to not fully. Hey, mwah, mwah, mwah. How are you? Sound check and camera check. Are we good? Are we good, 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 good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Hello. Hello. Are we good? We good. We good. We good. We good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So it has really hurt us as women not to embrace sacred sexuality. And on this channel, yay, 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 yay. On this channel, I will be doing a series called Punani Power. It's coming to me by divine inspiration, and it includes the sex magic, the secret sex magic, and the alchemy of many of our divine goddesses. Our goddesses, divine goddess is a redundancy. Our goddesses, over the eons, our goddesses have brought us sacred sexuality and sacred sex practices. So today we're going to talk about the sacred sex magic of, or alchemy we could call it, of Mary Magdalene. So now Mary Magdalene began to really, really, really pique my interest long before the Da Vinci Code, long before anything that I read about her in any book other than the Bible. Here is the part about, I'm back, hey! Here is the part about Mary Magdalene that always piqued my interest. In the Bible, if we look at the resurrection of the Christ, and according to the stories that are in the Bible, we know that the Bible is not a factual book. The Bible is not a historical book. The Bible is not a book that you're supposed to take seriously or literally. There is a rabbi that I love to quote that says anybody who takes the Bible literally is a fool. So the Bible is a metaphysical book. For me, it's a magic book. It's also a book of allegory. It's a book of illustration. It's a book of symbolism. It's a book of alchemy. It's an ancient text fraught with enigmas and mystery and mysticism. So if you take it at this surface, you're going to be swirling around in this book is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. However, if you delve into the Bible from a place of knowing that this is an ancient text, and like all ancient texts, it holds deep, deep secrets, deep secrets. So one of the things, so I had to put that preface before us on how I take the Bible. I don't take the Bible as a book of history. I don't take the Bible as the only book of truth. I don't. So if anyone is here under that premise, I pray for you. You get to think anything you want to think. I don't think that. And I also hold within myself a knowing that all the holy books are saying the exact same thing. So I say that to lay the groundwork, and I've read them, the Kabbalion, the Torah, the Bible, teachings of Buddha, Bhagavad Gita, parts of the Quran. What else have I read? A Course in Miracles, the Bible. All of these ancient texts I study, read, devour, love. They're all saying the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. If you don't believe it, if you've only read your holy book, shame on you. Get another holy book and read it. When I was growing up, Jehovah's Witness, as you saw on this channel, I talked about escaping the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. They told us that I could only read the Bible. And not only that, they told me that I could only read the Bible that was from their religion. Well, that was a double problem. Because any religion that tells you only read your own holy book, there's a problem. There's a problem. So, anywho, I was always fascinated by the story of Mary Magdalene, and this is the part that fascinated me of the story. And I knew it was symbolic. I knew it stood for something much deeper. When the Christ resurrected, the first person that he reincarnated, it wasn't even a reincarnation, the first person that he appeared to in his risen form, okay? So imagine a soul lifting off the planet. Imagine a soul that has left their physical embodiment. People call that death. No such thing. You can't die. A soul is immortal. You drop the body. He dropped the body. The body was gone. Nobody knows where the body is. He dropped it. He didn't need it anymore. Gone. Now, hey, I'm back. So he dropped the body, and now he has risen as a soul, yet he has not made his ascent all the way to heaven. So there's a segment, there's a point in time when a soul leaves the physical body, right? It disjoins from the physical body, but it does not go all the way up yet. It still hangs around unfinished business for a while, around people you love, your children, you know, parents, lovers, so forth and so on. So that's the state that Christ was in. He hadn't ascended all the way. He didn't ascend all the way up till 40 days later. He was still taking care of unfinished business, I guess you could say. The very first person who saw him in this state was Mary Magdalene. Now that always was very fascinating to me in the Bible. Like they couldn't cut that part of the Bible out. I'm sure they didn't want us to think too much about it, but that always stood out to me. I always imagined that scene in the crypt where she comes searching for his body on the morning of the day that it was time to do the herbs for the body. She couldn't do it the day before because it was a Sabbath according to the story, and so now she could come and she could put the herbs and dress the body, and the body was gone. Now in some versions they say she was with other women, but in this particular version it says it was only her. She came to the crypt. She does not see his body. The stone is rolled away. What is going on? They have a special relationship, Christ and Mary Magdalene. She turns and looks around. She sees a gardener. She imagines that this is a worker in the place, a gardener tending the ground, a groundskeeper. She says, please, if you have moved my Lord, please tell me where you have put him. And the groundskeeper says one word. He looks at her and he says one word, Mary. He says her name, Mary. When he says her name, she's, it's you. She's grabbing him, grabbing him, grabbing him. You can tell that she's grabbing him and embracing him, because the next thing that we read in that story is that he says, stop clinging to me, you know, like stop. And some versions say he put his hand on her forehead, like stop, or pause, or don't grab me. I have not yet ascended to my Father, or some form of containing her over exuberance that, OMG, you're not dead. I knew you wasn't dead. I was kind of getting from Mary Magdalene that she kind of knew he wasn't dead. Yet, you know, this is the confirmation. So she's exuberant. She's so excited. He's alive. Now, this story gets better. She goes and tells apostles. He says, go and tell my apostles that I'm alive. Now, he gives her a command, and she goes and she carries out the command. Now, I read that thing so many times when I was in the Christian religion, and I could not get answers. I used to ask questions about it. I used to wonder about it. I used to think about it. Not like it was in the front of my mind all the time. It was one of these things that was just kind of always a question. Do you know what I'm talking about, love tubers? That there's something about that just jumped in my spirit about it. Little did I know that I also carry the Mary Magdalene code of sexual alchemy. There's a code, and I would offer that if you're a goddess watching this, you also are likely carrying the Mary Magdalene code for sexual alchemy. Now, people that don't understand this, they'll say, that woman's crazy. I don't know what she's talking about. That's not in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. They can bounce off. I'm talking to you if you know exactly what I'm talking about. I am talking to you. You know who you are. You know that you are a goddess who embodies the sacred sexuality of Mary Magdalene. It is a very specific sexual energy. A goddess, a priestess, and it comes from the lineage of Isis. So there is a book that you can read. It's called the Magdalene Manuscript. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it. The Magdalene Manuscript, which is the Alchemies of Horus, and the alchemies of Horus and the sacred sex of the sacred sexuality sex of Isis. So Isis, the goddess Isis, holds this sacred sexual energy. Now it gets better. Let's go to ancient Egypt, shall we? Where all this comes from, where Christ himself was for many years before he entered into what was called his ministry in the Bible. He was in Egypt for many years. You can read in the Bible and then it sort of disappears. Like, what happens to Christ? You know, he's little, he's a child. He's in Jerusalem. After a while, you know, he was born in Judea. He was born, you know, we all know the story according to how he was born, all metaphysical. And later, there is an unaccounted for period of time in the childhood of Christ from about age 11 all the way up to almost 30, where we just don't hear about him. We don't hear it. He was in Egypt. Now, what was he doing in Egypt? In Egypt, he was being exposed. Yes. Say that again. That's the book. Oh, wow. It says that in the book. Yeah, I found this out from my own independent study. Let me tell you. And trust me, this information is not easy to come by. You got to dig. This information is not on the surface. This is not information that is broadly known. This is not information that anybody really will tell you. However, it is open to everyone. If you go and you do your research, you will find it. You will find it. So I did my own independent research to find out what was going on with Christ. And what I know of the ancient Egyptian mysteries and of Isis and Horus and Nephthys and Osiris, I knew that the stories correlated. So get this. This is so good. Isis, as we know in the story, was married to Osiris. Their son was Horus. And what we know about Osiris is that Osiris was killed by his evil brother, right? That's what Set, right? Supposedly Set is evil in the story. Set kills Osiris. Set cuts Osiris into 13 pieces. Isis, devastated that her male counterpart, every goddess has a god, and every god has a goddess. in all of the pantheons of gods and goddesses. You go from Rome to Greece to Mesopotamia to Egypt to, except Christianity, where they just cut out the goddess. They just said, we'll just be cutting her out and left a big gaping hole right there. And people are looking like, is there something that's supposed to go with this male god that we have? Like, does he have a counterpart? And even if you go back to ancient Hebrew, you will find that Yahweh had a counterpart, a divine feminine goddess. And Yahweh's divine feminine goddess, I'm going to come out of hopefully come out of the wind over here on the side of the building so that we can have a little more quiet. You will find that Yahweh's goddess was Asherah, also known as Ashtoreth. Many different versions of her name, okay? And she also, the divine counterpart of Jehovah, also known as Yahweh. So look it up. Don't believe anything I say. I'm not looking for disciples. I'm sharing information. So here is what occurred with Isis. Isis goes and finds all the pieces to Osiris except one. She finds 12 parts of his body. She puts his 12 parts of the body back together. She does not find one piece, and the piece that she does not find of his body is his phallic symbol, his life giver, his penis, his lingam, as we would call it, right? His life-giving principle, his male parts. She does not find his penis. So what does she do? She takes gold and she fashions a new penis for him. She fashions a penis for him of gold. And she puts the penis on him, and now, get this, 3 days later, he's still dead, he's laying there, all put back together, helped by her sister Nephthys, all put back together with the golden phallus, the life-giving golden phallus. And I know the guys are like, man, I'd love to have a golden penis, but she came from a golden penis, as some of the legends go. And what did she do? 3 days later, he comes back to life. Does that sound familiar? And she is there at his resurrection, his rising. Does that sound familiar? Mary Magdalene with the Christ. 3 days later, he rises. She is at his resurrection, his rising. Okay? So Isis and Mary Magdalene, same lineage. Now, some say that Mary Magdalene was black from Ethiopia. And they say that she may have come from Ethiopia, a black woman, very dark, from Ethiopia through Alexandria, which was sort of this big trade center there, and then on through to the area where Christ was. She was an outcast from her people. He was an outcast from his people. It was sort of like revolutionaries changing the world. Now, they don't put Christ, they don't state in the Bible that Christ is like a revolutionary, because nobody wants you to think Christ was a revolutionary. They don't paint him, they don't portray him in that light. However, Christ was a revolutionary. He was hanging out with people, and he was a teacher, very well knowledgeable and trained in the magical arts and sciences, the esoteric arts and sciences from Egypt, Western astrology, the astrology, the energy, all of it. All of it. Now, he meets Mary Magdalene. He must meet Mary Magdalene. She was not a prostitute. She was not a whore, as the papal bull states. There was I forget which pope it was. Pope, I'll look it up. There was a pope who decided that he was going to say she was a prostitute. She was indeed not a prostitute. And later on, the Catholic Church, oh, thank you. You got the Pope? Oh, you got the Pope? Oh, okay. And later on, the Catholic Church decided that they were going to retract the story that Mary Magdalene was a tramp. Indeed, she was a sacred sexual priestess of a practice of sexual alchemy and healing sexual magic that people just didn't understand on a conscious level. This is all cosmic energy. So they rather paint her that which humans do not understand, they automatically go to fear. So they painted her in the this, they made up a persona for her that she was some whore tramp. Trust me, Mary Magdalene was no whore, no common tramp that you would meet somewhere in anybody's alley. Oh no, she was a woman fully empowered by her sacred sexuality, and she indeed became, as was stated in the Da Vinci Code, which everybody just went all crazy. The Christians went crazy over the Da Vinci Code, because how dare this book of fiction intimate that Mary Magdalene could have been married to Christ. How dare they make this ridiculous assumption? However, if we go to ancient manuscripts that were dug up by a farmer in Egypt, and we dig them up and you see pictures of them, look up the Gnostic Gospels. They are leather bound. He found them in a clay jar on the land, digging for fertilizer. He finds this jar. He opens the clay jar. In the clay jar are the Gnostic Gospels. Of course, hidden, because everything that wasn't the Catholic Church at that time was being burned, suppressed, all of it. It was just, so to keep it safe, they had to bury it in the ground. They buried the Gnostic Gospels, and the Gnostic Gospels very clearly shows you that there was a special relationship between between Yeshua ben Joseph. I don't call him Jesus because there's no J in the Hebrew language, and his name wasn't Jesus. His name was Yeshua ben Joseph, and between the two of them, and that it was a relationship of the God and the goddess, divine masculine, divine feminine, and that she indeed was his sacred sexual counterpart. Now, you can't tell Christians this because they're just not ready to hear all of that. They don't want to look at all of that. So we have the very carefully scrubbed stories in the Bible. That's why if you only read the Bible and you don't read the Gnostic Gospels, the Apocrypha, if you don't read any of that, study to show thyself approved. If you don't read any of that and you're only reading what's in your church or in the Bible, then you're going to be missing puzzle pieces. And the Bible is not going to make much sense to you because you'll know something's missing. So I've been really being with Mary Magdalene for years now. And today it truly dawned on me that I carried that same sexual code because in a past life, all of this has been coming together as insights for me over, I would say, decades. I had a glimpse of a past life, and I was talking to Wiz about this the other day. You know, The Witch and the Wizard. So if you don't subscribe to The Witch and the Wizard channel, we got some good stuff coming up. So subscribe to The Witch and the Wizard. The link is going to be underneath here. We were talking about this the other day, and I remember clearly in another life being a Dakini. What is a Dakini? A Dakini is a sacred priestess and goddess of sexuality and of tantric sexuality, alchemy, healing through the sexual arts. And I remember clearly being a Dakini. Maybe you do too as a goddess. Maybe if you're not a goddess watching this and you're a god, maybe you remember being in some sacred temples where this was being offered. Now, sexual energy being offered as healing was considered later on to be a whorehouse. And that wasn't what it was at all. So we have some things to clear up in our understanding of sexual energy as a healing energy, the most potent energy anywhere in existence. Sexual energy as an energy that indeed takes us heavenward to God through the divine God goddess. Sexual energy as a means to accelerate the evolution of consciousness, and sexual energy as a means to support, hold space for a man, a God, who has a powerful calling on the planet, who indeed cannot birth that powerful calling on the planet without a suitable womb. A man can't birth anything without a womb. How can you? This is the path of creation. The path of creation comes through this sacred sex center of the man and the woman. The lingam, the penis, the life-giving, outer focused principle of divinity, God, yang. The punani, or also known as the yoni, the receiving energy of the divine, the nurturing, the goddess, also known as yin. You cannot have one without the other. So why do we think Jesus was just walking around, just Jesus by himself, and that he never had a sacred counterpart or a sacred sexual companion, or indeed that there was no yin to his yang, there was no goddess to his God? It doesn't exist anywhere else. Why would it have existed in Christianity? So begin to ask questions. Begin to require that your spiritual leaders give you truth and not watered down versions of what has been accepted for many decades. That is not truth. Study to show yourself approved. Smash that like button, baby. Smash it, smash it, smash it. Share. And turn within. Ultimately, this is always what I'm saying. I'm going to take off my sunglasses so I can have this conversation with you. Turn within and ask yourself, within yourself, is this truth? You see, truth has a resonance and a vibration. And when you hear something that is truth, it resonates, it vibrates. See, all of this resonates. Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's the Mary Magdalene energy. Thank you so much, Atara. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you are resonating and you are vibrating this truth, you'll know it's true. And you will also know that church is pretty much kindergarten, because they can't feed all this information to the masses, because indeed they would be confused and so forth and so on. Yet I know that everyone that follows me on this channel is ready for more than just what they feed you, the milk that you can suck at the tits of the church. I know you're ready for more than that. And that's why you receive more than that on this channel. So we dive into the ancient mysteries. We dive into the Mary Magdalene. Read the Magdalene manuscript and understand Mary Magdalene's connection to Isis. Isis is my goddess. That's my goddess right there. So she imbues in women, and where you hold it, the womb that Mary Magdalene is for Christ, she holds it in the whole womb of herself, not just in the sacred center where the root chakra is, where the sacral chakra is. Beyond that, indeed, the whole woman is a womb. The whole woman is a chalice. And indeed, they have called Mary Magdalene the Holy Grail. Then it is said, if you go further into the story, and we're going to conclude with this, that Mary Magdalene and Christ had a baby, a girl. Her name was Sarah. And Sarah became the mother, that there's a bloodline of Christ. Sarah became the mother of the Merovingian kings. And it's very interesting that in the movie The Matrix, they have the Merovingian. Now, they didn't paint the Merovingian as a very wonderful character in the plot of The Matrix, but it's the same word, Merovingian. Now, this is what we're going to conclude with. If you go through France, because it is said that once Christ passed on, her and the baby went on a boat across, or actually she was pregnant, about 6 months pregnant, something like that, went across on a boat to France, the south of France. So throughout all of the south of France, you will see the goddess. You will see Mary Magdalene, and she's a brown woman. She's not a white woman. Very interesting. And you also see the Sarah, the baby, her with a baby. And this is not the Mary, mother of Jesus. This is Mary Magdalene, Mary of Magdala, as she is called. So just a little food for thought today. Wanted to share with you what's going on with me, and that this Holy Grail that Mary Magdalene is, she is the womb of the Christ, and that indeed he would not have even been able to experience his rise in consciousness had she not been there, and had he not had her and she had him as the divine counterparts. God, goddess, I am. I love you. I love you. Oh, the Merovingian, spell it. Oh my goodness. Please don't ask me to spell it because I don't know how you spell Merovingian. Look it up though. The Merovingian kings are supposedly the lineage, the living lineage of Christ on the planet. He had a child. It didn't stop with him. But of course, the church doesn't want people to know that. And I don't see why it would take away from him, but they want you to believe. This is really the whole point behind it. Thank you, Spirit. They want you to believe that Christ was something that you're not, and that's not true. Ye are gods. He's God, you're God. He's no better, you're no worse. Ye are gods. Hold and own your divinity as gods and goddesses. With that, Merovingian, thank you. And with that, I leave you in love. Peace. Mwah. Love you, love you, love you, love you.